Hey, Mrs. Pierce here. So for this recording, I just want to give you guys a shortcut for calculating percent increase or decrease of a number. Okay? Okay, so first of all, I want to just talk about what it means to calculate the percent of a number. If I just gave you a percent, such as 65%, and I said to you, convert that into decimal form. So if I was converting that into decimal form, I could take my decimal point, which in this case it's at the end, and move it 2 places to the left. So 65% into decimal form equals 0.65. I did not just calculate the percent of a number. All I did was change it into decimal form. If I'm calculating percent of a number, that's using a proportion. I'm trying to figure out what portion of the number is this certain percent. So for example, 50% of a number. 50% of a number, well, hopefully you just know that that's half. So then I would just calculate what half of that number is. I hope you know what 10% of a number, I can just divide it by 10 or move my decimal 1 place to the left. So just keep in mind, we're going to be calculating the percent of a number. So we're trying to find what part of a whole equals a certain thing. Okay? All right, let me give you some shortcuts. All right, just to start out, the original of anything is always 100%. So whatever we start with, whatever the original price was, whatever our total bill is, anything we start with is always 100%. We got to keep that in mind. So if I'm paying a 6% tax on something, well, that is going to be 6% more, or a 6% increase. So basically, I am paying 106%. Now, if they change that to decimal form, that's going to be 1.06. I didn't do anything with that yet. All I did was change it into decimal form. Let's say I went to dinner and then I'm going to pay 15% extra for a tip. Well, that's something extra. That's an increase. So 100% will be my dinner plus the 15%. That is going to be 115% of the original. Move my decimal 2 places to the left. In decimal form, that would be 1.15. Okay. So a 20% discount, if I go to Kohl's and I have a 20% off everything, is a discount. Starting at 100%, I'm going to subtract 20%. That means I'm going to be paying 80%. And in decimal form, that would be 0.8. A 75% markup. So if I own a company, I buy some products, and then I'm going to sell it at an increased rate. So basically then I would be selling it for 175% of the original. Change that to a decimal, and in decimal form, that would be 1.75. And then last, if I had a 15% off coupon, again, that's going to be a decrease. So if I start with 100%, I'm going to decrease it by 15%. And that is going to be 85% that I would end up paying. And in decimal form, that would be 0.85. So true story. When I was in college, I delivered pizza for Domino's to make some money. All right, so I'm going to really quickly just give you a bunch of examples. Let's say I am going to buy something that is normally $65. Okay? It could be dinner, it could be a game, it could be clothing, it could be anything. And it doesn't have to be money. It could be there's 65 points on a test. It could be a whole bunch of things. But let's say my original amount is 65. Okay? And we'll talk about money for now just to be fun. Alright, so if I wanted to find out what a 6% tax is, I would convert that to 1.06 because it's extra, multiply by $65, And my final price would be, since we're talking money, I'm going to have the dollar sign there, $68.90. Now my calculator just said 0.9, but since we're talking money, I'm going to say 90 cents. Okay, dinner plus a 15% tip. So I'm going to do 1.15 since I'm paying extra times $65, and that is going to be $74.75. Okay, if I am going to pay a 20% discount, now that's a discount, so I'm subtracting, remember. So I'm going to take 0.80 or 0.8 times 65, and that will be $52. Nice and handy if I'm at the store. Now you guys have calculators on your phones, if you have a phone, so that's pretty convenient. Okay, 75% markup. It is, again, a markup, so it's extra, so that's just going to be 1.75 times 65, and that would be $113.75. Okay, almost doubled, not quite, but almost doubled. And last, if I had a 15% off coupon, again, it's 15% off, and up here we had a discount, and so I'm subtracting 15%, so I'm going to do 0.85 times 65, and that will be $55.25. Okay? So again, I hope you don't get too confused. This can only be used if we are calculating the percent of a number. Okay? That of there is when I'm multiplying. So of. Okay? If I need to know the original amount, can't do it this way. If I need to know the percent, can't do it this way. This is only when I know the percent and I know the original amount. Alright? Okay. Hopefully it worked. If you are confused and you want some help, let your teacher know. Or you can just go back to using a proportion all the time, and that works too.